Greetings. So Ken Dickey back again with Cuis Solitaire, and this series is going to be mainly the how to find things and how to interact with tools a bit, but I will get into a couple of deeper areas. And right now, this is a fairly light area, but I just wanted to take you through files, and I realized if I just go to Help here. So that was left click on the desktop for help and bring up a terse guide and make sure we get auto load that in. And now if we come down here and find files, somewhere file operations, okay. So the terse guide is really handy in that it has a for each topic here, there's a whole bunch of code that does stuff. And so we can do things like, bring up here now and let's see, we have a string as a file entry, and file contents is going to put some bit of text out to that file. And now if I right click on that and say do it, that could create a file. And so all of this stuff is, like most text in the system is fairly uniformly editable. So if I right click again on here and now say print it, you see we got test me now as, so what happened is the file contents, it read that entire contents of the test file.txt into a string, and I said to print the string, so that's there. You don't have to worry about making changes here on this pane, because when you go somewhere else and come back, you'll notice it gets refreshed from the original text. So you can just, this is just a play field, and so it's a good way to sort of get used to interacting with Smalltalk code, and you can try things out and do your own tests and like that. So this whole thing, the reason I wanted to show this is because there's something called FileMan, and it's different than a number of Smalltalks. It's really actually fairly easy to use, and it's what Cuis has adapted for the high-level interface for file streams, for files. And streams are just, of course, streams of, I guess I should say streams of whatever object they have, and one after another. So okay, so there's a file IO accessor, which is the low-level usage of the file system, and then there are directory entries and file entries, which are the high-level use. So if I again right click and say browse it, then you see we've got a file system entry which has a lot of things about, you can get the base name of the file and pick things out of it, and the directories and files, all of your typical operations are here. You can create a stream, you can anyway, typical things. It's just that the file system entry and the file system file accessor are different than a lot of Smalltalks. So when you look at files, you can find them here. The other thing I should say is that in string, as you saw, we have a string that's a path name, and we want to get that as a text, as a file entry frequently. And so if we look at string, we should find, let's see, let me type F to see files. Yeah, okay, so we got a whole bunch of FileMan stuff. So string name is file entry, and if you look at this down here, you'll see that there are various different conventions for different operating systems, and so basically this bit of business, the file entries FileMan takes care of all the differences between OSs and regularizes that. You can do get path tokens and that kind of stuff. So that's as much as I'm going to say about that stuff directly. You can take a look at that, and I'll encourage you to look around whenever you need to do I/O to the file. But we're going to come back here to FreeCell and Klondike and whatnot, and take a look at as you know, there's a save game and restore game, so we can come back here and say, get this out of the way. I should just make it small for a second. So I can say restore, and I can go back to a previous game. I guess that's the one I just did. Okay, well, it's not a lot of difference. Save game. Okay, I'll go ahead and save that. I'll overwrite a file. Restore game. Yeah. Well, I just got it back, so let me go ahead and make a change here, and you see we've got some auto move. That's fine. That's why I'm saving that, because I got some aces on top. That helps. Okay, and say restore game, and pretty much I get the same thing as if I'd said start over in this particular case, because that's the one game I just saved. And so there's so let's just go ahead and see how that's done. And the card table, as you notice, they have the same buttons on both tables. So as you might expect, if we do save and restore, no, it's actions, no, all right, I'll just say all, and somewhere we've got something to do with save and restore. Let's find that. Here we are. So we've got things like restore game from data stream, and you notice that's something that's a user responsibility. And okay, restore game, user message. So this is where we get the file menu. So we come up and say, let's go ahead. We've got a particular dot suffix, which is different from Klondike and FreeCell, since they're not the same game. And with the dialog result, if the user canceled, there's nothing there. Otherwise, we go ahead and we do a restore game from data stream. And as we just saw, restore game from data stream is not something the card table does, because the card table does not know about specific games. And so if we take a look at like the FreeCell, like we just dealt with, and file in and file out, and we have save game and restore game. So again, save game goes ahead and just gives it the file suffix and says enter name, blah blah blah, which we just did. And I'll just click here again to say, okay, enter file name to say FreeCell game. And so this is a basically a simple file system browse. It shows that this is the directory we're actually in. Contents of that directory, including the particular game, the FreeCell. If we save another game, it also gets saved with a suffix, but whatever name we save, and we can create a new file name and so forth. So that's all pretty much standard stuff. And what save game to data stream does is it does the actual save. Now, in Smalltalk, you can just write the objects out to disk. Objects basically know how to, for the most part, how to serialize themselves and like that. But we really don't have a lot of information here. Once you have the card numbers and you know what the state of your deck and columns and piles and spares and all that, then really the save to state array, let me go ahead and take a look at implementers. Basically what it's doing is it's going ahead and it's just collecting whatever's there as an array of card numbers, basically. So All of these things are card deck saved to state array. In this case, it's saving a little bit of extra information. It says, okay, I'm going to add some stuff at the end. I'm going to put the index and seed. The index and seed are things that are used by a random number generator, and I'll talk about that next time when I talk about randomness. So that when you, if you redeal from the same deck without shuffling it, that you get the same results. And so that's just a little bit of business there. But again, we're going ahead and just going through, and for each index in the state array, it's an array, we put the card number for the card at that particular index. So this is as I say, it's basically just creates a collection of the card numbers and so forth. So we're just, all we're doing is going ahead and creating, if you will, a super array here, which says free cells, so it's not Klondike, and then cards, columns, piles, pairs, and we're not saving any undue information. So you can only go back to the undo to the last save, but that's not fatal, and it hasn't bothered me enough to actually go and implement that. And so basically we're just saving the card numbers to arrays, and the restore game from data stream just pulls things back in. And so the difference between free cell and Klondike is very small. It's just the little bits of difference that have to do with which cards are saved where. And this is all very pedestrian and easy to do. And in this case, since we're just saving arrays of numbers, it's very terse. These saved games are very small in the file system. And so with that, I think I will go ahead and see you next time and talk about shuffling and sources of randomness. And that's see you next time.